It's Monday, May 11th, 10:22 a.m. On this beautiful Monday, you're watching Below the Beanie, episode 1. And my name is Jesse. I'm the founder and grandmaster of MMA, Mexican martial arts. Thank you for being here. It was a crazy weekend, wasn't it? I was chopping down a tree in my backyard. A bunch of bees stung me in the face. But that's not what you're here for. And don't timestamp me. Fight talk starts right now. So I'm going to start off with the prelims, the pre-prelims, and then the prelims, and then the post-lims. The ones that you're there for. But, I know you want to hear about Cejudo retiring. I know you want to hear about Michelle Waterson always hyping up fights and being really energetic and enthusiastic and everything. And then when she's finally there, she's acting like it's a friendly sparring match. And then you get disappointed. You're like, why do you keep doing this to me? Why don't you just retire already? Stop playing around. And then you also want to hear about Gaethje beating Tony Ferguson. But I'm going to start from the bottom. And I'm going to work my way up. This episode of Below the Beanie is brought to you by the Ridge Wallet. More on that later. So first we had Ryan Spann and Sam Alvey. I actually had kind of a late pick for this one because before the fight started, I didn't really care because I didn't know who either of these fools were. But once it had started, I decided to go with Sam Alvey because it definitely looked like Ryan Spann had tired himself out early. Within the first minute, he had that fool tied up and he got him in a standing arm triangle. And it looked like Sam Alvey was going to die for a little bit. That fool was turning red. And what ended up happening was Ryan Spann had got his arms so tired just from that choke that almost the rest of that round and the last 2 rounds he was completely useless. And Sam Alvey was coming back strong and Spann's arms were dead. At multiple moments, it just looked like one of those cases where you got some fool that's pretty built and he just expends himself too early, and then he has nothing left to give in the rest of the fight. And I just figured that Alvey was going to capitalize on that and put that full away, but it went to the decision. And I guess Spann ended up doing enough to get the win on that one. The next one was Bryce Mitchell and Charles Rosa. And I had Mitchell for that one. That's that fool that had just come off that Twister win. That supposedly there have only ever been 2 Twisters in the UFC. And he had one of them. The interesting thing during this fight was that, and I was calling it, I don't know if anybody else is going to jump on the bandwagon now and start saying the same stuff as me, but I was calling it since like early in the first round. This fool was not going to be happy with anything less than a Twister, and I knew that. I felt like what Bryce Mitchell did to Charles Rosa was like what Mayweather did to Conor, or like what Khabib did to Conor, where you're kind of like playing with your food a little bit and you just want to prove to the people what you're capable of, because like, you know how Conor put, what's that fool's name? That bald fool that wears the yellow shorts. I always forget his name. Aldo. You know how he put him away with the quickness? And everyone's like, oh, it was just a fluke. You got lucky. Do the rematch. It'll be different. You didn't get tested and all that. Mayweather, Khabib, people like that, they don't want people to be able to throw those kind of conversations into the mix. So they're like, all right, let me take him into deep water so that you fools can say it wasn't a fluke. Let me beat him up. Let me torture him a little bit. That way you guys can't be talking. Well, Bryce Mitchell, he could have put him away in the first round easily. If you saw that fight, you could tell that he was just playing with his food. All he wanted was the Twister, and he wasn't going to settle for anything less. He got the Twister set up probably like 5 different times. He had a triangle choke set up like 10 different times, and he just kept the Twister. That fool was too sweaty. He kept getting out of it. But the triangle choke, it's basically like he just kept letting him go because that's not what he wanted. That fool wanted to make history. And you could even tell when the fight was over and he knew that he won because he dominated the entire fight, no question. He was still upset with himself because he wanted to be the first person ever in history to have back-to-back Twisters. He's already one of the 2 people in history to have a Twister, period, but he wanted 2 back-to-back so that he could get those camo shorts from Reebok. And honestly, I was hoping that he would get the Twister because I'm tired of hearing everybody crying online to let him get those camo shorts already. But the good news is that he did so good that Dana White was on the phone with Reebok and apparently he's getting the camo shorts. So whatever. I want to take a moment real quick to shout out All Things MMA. After I made my Patreon video, he reached out to me and showed some love and support. And unfortunately, that's the first time I ever heard about that channel. And I realized more people need to hear about this channel. It's been hidden by YouTube, kind of like my channel, but I want to get the word out. It's a great channel. I've been watching his videos, very informative, very professional, very clean. I think you should check him out. Link down below. He was kind enough to give me a shout out on his channel, and a bunch of people have come over, and I want to say to those new people, thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate all of you. Welcome. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm only shouting him out because he shouted me out. Chale, go scope out the videos for yourself. They're clean. That's All Things MMA for some of the best MMA videos that you're going to find on YouTube. Scope the link down below. The very next fight we had was Vicente Luque and Nico Price. Your boy had Luque. This was definitely one of the most exciting fights of the whole night. The fight before that with Mitchell was basically a grappling clinic. This next one was for the strikers. Even the commentators were saying it, that this was one of those fights where if there were fans, everybody would be on their feet. Especially when Nico got put on his back. Vicente Luque was trying to make that fool look like Mike Perry, and people took notice. The ref stopped it with about 1:24 left in the final round. And then the doctor was looking at him and he was like, Chale, that fool can't see. So we got Luque with the TKO on that one. Papa won $20. Next, we had Carla Esparza and Michelle Waterson. Mira, I don't understand what it is with these fools at Jackson Wink, always breaking their fans' hearts. Michelle Waterson, Holly Holmes, John Jones. Michelle Waterson is so confident, so likable, so enthusiastic that like every time she goes into a fight, you're like, she's got this. I know she's gonna win this one. She's back. Hashtag mom champ. Let's go. And then she gets in the cage and she fights like if it's kickboxing Thursdays at the Boys and Girls Club. Hey, I'm not being a hater. The reason that I get so emotional is because I'm a fan. I want her to win. Hashtag mom champ. I'm on the train. It started with Holly Holmes. She did the same thing to me. Always on Instagram, looking all confident and everything. And I'm like, she got this. There's no way anybody's going to take her down. And then she gets in the ring like this. Like she got all fused or something a while back and didn't tell anybody. I'm tired of these Jackson Wink girls breaking my heart. My pick was Waterson. But Esparza got this one. I have to mention that there is a theory out there. A lot of people are saying that DC, arch nemesis of Jackson Wink, was commentating a little bit too loud on purpose so that Esparza could hear him and take some notes, you know? And she even said it herself in the press conference that she heard what he was saying. She took her advice, made the adjustments, and that's what got her the win. Pretty slick, DC. All right, I want to stop for a moment so that I could talk to you about the Ridge wallet. Mira, I'm going to be honest with you. The last couple of times I talked about the Ridge wallet, I do my best to make it like entertaining, you know, because sometimes ads can be boring. But I'm going to be real with you right now. This right here is the last wallet that I ever used. And I haven't used it since back in like 2008 or 9. You know why? Because I don't like to sit down like this. When I stopped using this wallet, I started just keeping my cards in my pocket all the time, and they would always be getting rubbed and getting scratched. Ever since, I don't want to lie to you, it's either 2008 or 2009, I can't remember. I've been keeping my cards and my cash just in my pockets in the front because I don't want to have to carry bulky stuff. Well, a while back, the Ridge wallet sent me this front pocket wallet, and it fits in there perfectly. I don't even notice it. It's even smaller than my phone. I can't even tell you how many times I've fallen asleep with it in my pants because it's that small. It doesn't bother me. It's a beautiful wallet. It's a compact wallet. And you know what? It has a lifetime warranty. And I'm not the only one that likes it. It has over 30,000 five-star reviews. Get 10% off today or tomorrow. Whatever day you see this. 10% off by going to ridge.com/Vodo. Free worldwide shipping and returns at ridge.com/Vodo. And use the promo code Vodo. Link down below. Please get one. Then we had Alexei Olynyk and Fabricio Werdum. I had Olynyk for this one. I don't have anything against Werdum, but he just seems like one of those fools that's hanging on a little bit too long, you know? Supposedly the UFC doesn't take care of their fighters, and a lot of times people have to stick around longer than they should to keep collecting a paycheck. Kind of like Tony Ferguson. But we'll get to that one later. Werdum was very sluggish. throughout the entire fight. And Olynyk was very high energy, and he looked like he was in fantastic shape. Even the commentators were saying that he looked like he lost a little bit of weight too. But unfortunately, it looked like Werdum have found the weight that Olynyk lost. And I think that definitely affected the fight. There were a lot of moments where I thought that maybe Werdum was doing the rope-a-dope because that fool was getting socked up. But I don't think he was doing that now. At the end of the day, it looked like Werdum shouldn't have been in there. There were a couple of moments that looked like Werdum might get a little armbar or whatever, because Olynyk had already worn himself out so much teeing off on that fool that he had a little bit of opportunity, but he couldn't capitalize on it. Olynyk just went like that, and he took the decision. The next one was Donald Cerrone and Anthony Pettis. I had to pick somebody, so I went with Cerrone. It was a tough pick because Anthony Pettis, he's always breaking something. His big toe, his knee, his elbow, his finger, his ear, and you never know if Donald Cerrone is going to take a dive. Not show up to the fight. This one was a lot like Luque and Price. A real slugfest. Pretty entertaining, to be honest with you. Probably the most entertaining part was when Cowboy clearly got poked in the eye and he tried to tell the ref, and the ref was like, nah, just keep fighting. And that's pretty messed up, actually, because we see it all the time, how a little eye poke can make a big difference in the decision of a fight. And Pettis ended up taking this one, much to his surprise, but still. Hey, Pettis, at this point in your career, just raise your hands and celebrate and be thankful. Don't be asking any questions. Next, we had Yorgan De Castro and Greg Hardy. De Castro was dominating early with some heavy leg kicks, but then DC struck again. Apparently, that fool talks pretty loud. Apparently, Hardy heard DC talking about how he needs to be checking the leg kicks, and he took his advice, and it changed the direction of the fight completely, and he got the decision. And then afterwards, when he was getting interviewed by Joe Rogan, he went ahead and invited himself onto Joe Rogan's podcast, and you could see the awkwardness in Joe Rogan's face when he says, yeah, let's do that. By the way, I did pick Hardy for this one. Just randomly. I didn't really care who won, but I was right. Then we had Jeremy Stephens and Calvin Kattar. Everyone's always telling me that I should be rooting for Jeremy Stephens, just like with the Tony Ferguson. Everybody's always telling me, hey, how come you root against the Mexican? Hey, fool, stop being racist. I don't root for people based on the color of their skin. Alright? And if we're talking about the color of the skin anyway, I would have never even known Stephens was Mexican. He's got the Canelo syndrome. Actually, when you look at his picture, that fool looks more Amish than anything. Honestly, this was one of the most exciting fights. Those fools were throwing hands the whole time until Kattar finally caught that fool on the chin with his elbow. Stephens went down with the quickness, and then Kattar started teeing off on the ground and cut that fool's head open. I had picked Stephens for this one because honestly, he just seems like an angry little fool, and I thought he was going to come in there with the rage and TKO the other fool, but Charlie. After that, we had Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Francis Ngannou. It was absolutely clear that Ngannou had zero respect for Rozenstruik's stand-up by the way he was coming at him with that Mexican boxing, just throwing nothing but haymakers and keeping his chin up in the air because he knew that Rozenstruik couldn't compare on the feet, and he knew that he wasn't going to take him down, so he thought, I just need to land one, and he did. And he landed some more afterwards because he just seemed like he was angry or whatever. And the ref had to be like, stop, no more. But it only took one to put him to sleep. A lot of people were praising Ngannou's abilities after this, saying that he's the future of the heavyweight division and this and that. But I just have one question. What does this say about Stipe Muchacho? Now, Ngannou was my pick, but I offer you this. Stipe Muchacho already beat that fool. And DC already beat Muchacho. I know Muchacho beat him later, but whatever. We're still in the same place. All right, Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. Cejudo was my pick. And I was saying, hey, I got no disrespect for Cruz. I don't dislike him or anything. I'm a fan. That fool's exciting to watch. He's got that footwork, and he's got the hands and everything, and that head movement. But I just knew that the moment Cejudo wrapped him up, either from the waist or the leg or whatever, that it was going to be game over. Not just because of Cruz's past injuries, but that's just what Cejudo does. And on the ground, Cruz couldn't compare. But that's not how it ended anyway. Cejudo got the TKO. And even though he was my pick, I was kind of frustrated at first the way it ended, because in the moment, it definitely felt like early stoppage, because you could see that Dominic was trying to get back up, and he was right there and everything. He wasn't unconscious. He was right there with it. But when you see the replay a couple of times, it's like, yeah, even though you still got socked in the head like 20 times. So that can't be good, and the ref has to do something. At the end of the day, I think I could go either way with it. The way that it was stopped, I could say, you know what? It felt a little bit early, but I get it because he was getting socked up. If it wouldn't have got stopped, it would be like, wait a minute, why isn't it getting stopped? That fool's getting socked up. I don't know. I could be on either side of it. But I think at the end of the day, I'm actually happy with the way that it ended because of Cejudo's retirement. That would have been kind of messed up if he had to retire on a loss. I think it makes sense. But it's very interesting to me that he decided to retire. I was shocked, and I think everybody was shocked, except for people like Joe Rogan and Dana White. The people on the staff kept acting like, oh, I've been knowing this for like 3 years already. They were acting all dumb about it. But I think everybody, for the most part, was shocked. And I was talking about earlier in the fight how, to me, this event looked like it could have easily been the last event for Waterson, Werdum, Cerrone, Pettis. I was like, the way these fools are fighting, I could see them riding off into the sunset after this. I think that they're just trying to collect a paycheck at this point, which is kind of messed up. I kind of can't blame them, but they don't really have anything left to give. And then Cejudo goes and retires, Triple C, on top of the world, Seinfeld style. I wasn't expecting that one. But for real, that's the way you got to do it. I don't know if he has other stuff going or what that's going to be keeping him paying his bills, or if he saved up so much that he's good or what. But unfortunately, a lot of people have to keep fighting because they don't have that Dana White privilege on their side, and they don't get those paychecks. So they either have to keep fighting or they have to go be like a car salesman or go work at Home Depot or whatever. That's messed up. NFL players don't have to do that. Soccer players don't have to do that. They shouldn't have to do that in the UFC either. But this fool, he's doing it right at the top of his game. Good, legacy and everything. I just hope he's going to be able to pay his bills. And then we had it. Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje. And what did I say? My pick wasn't, oh, you know what? Tony Ferguson's going to lose. How come, Grandmaster? How come? Oh, because I don't like him. Charlie. I gave a real good, intelligent, educated reason. I said Tony Ferguson is gonna lose because that fool likes to fight with his face like Nate Diaz. He relies too much on that whole thing about that he's invincible. He has that cardio. He could take a punch. You can't do that with fools like Justin Gaethje. I knew that he was gonna be getting socked up the whole time, and I knew he wasn't gonna be able to last fighting that way with Justin. And I was correct. He tried his best, and you know what? It was admirable, and it was very entertaining to see that fool in the cage doing all this, just trying to stay awake and everything. It was entertaining. That's what I want to see. I felt like I was watching WWF again. But I don't understand the poor decision making on Tony's part. Why didn't that fool go for the Imanari? I know that a lot of people were saying that it was because of the weight cuts and that he was too drained, and that he didn't have the energy to be throwing those signature elbows and to be all flying and rolling around and stuff like he usually does, that he just wasn't himself. In my opinion, he clearly shouldn't have taken the fight to begin with. And you can see that in the comment sections, on every video, on every platform. Ferguson fan or not. Tony, why did you take the fight? You should have just waited and fought Khabib. You know what? As much as I dislike Tony Ferguson, I think I might have to blame that Dana White power for this one. Maybe Ferguson had to fight to earn a paycheck to feed his family. And if so, as much as I dislike that fool, that's messed up. I can't deny all the hard work that this fool has put into his craft. All the highlight reels that he's given us, all those classic moments, all that blood, sweat, and tears, whether from him or from his opponent. He earned the title shot. He deserved it. Yeah. Is that fool cringe lord? Yeah. But I wanted to see Khabib versus Tony more than anybody. And I just wish that it wouldn't have been jeopardized with this fight. It was hard to watch. And the beating that fool took, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. besides Chael Sonnen. But whether you're a Ferguson fan or not, I think Gaethje earned a lot of respect that night and some new fans because of his humble behavior. That fool shows some class, some true sportsmanship. And I think he's going to be a great future champion after Khabib decides to retire. I want to say thank you very much to all of my patrons. I appreciate everything that you do, and it's because of you that I'm still here today. Thank you again to the Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this episode of Below the Beanie. Thank you for watching Below the Beanie at Mexican Martial Arts. Appreciate it. Good looking out. Late. Alright, I'm going to be honest with you for a moment. This is the first video that I've ever done on this channel, besides the very first video ever where I was wearing that brown shirt, and besides for the Mexican Fight Companions, where I didn't have a script. I always take quite a while writing a script for these videos because I want them to be all tight, you know. But this video, I did not write a script because I wanted to make sure to come out with the video with the quickness right after 2:49 before it's old news already. Because usually after a UFC event, if it's on Saturday, I don't upload my video till like Friday or even after that, because it takes a long time to do the writing and to edit it and do all the cutaways and all that. And this video, this new Below the Beanie series that I just came up with myself, I was thinking about doing them like this, unscripted, without all the cutaways and all the fancy stuff, just so that I could get it out on time, you know. And if I start doing videos like this more often, it could get to the point where I got 3, 4, 5 videos a week, because that's how long the writing could take sometimes. You might hear me say this now and be like, oh, that's why I didn't like this video that much, because you didn't write it. You should probably write every single video. Don't ever do this again. Maybe you liked it. Maybe it's good enough. I don't know. But I'm just telling you, doing it this way will allow me to make videos way more often. Does it kind of make me sick? Do I feel kind of like I want to throw up right now? Because I like to write and make sure everything's perfect and do all the cutaways and strategically put things together perfectly, very meticulously. Yeah. So this feels disgusting to me. It feels a little too carefree and lazy to me. But if you think it's worth watching, I could do a lot more of them a lot more often, or maybe I could do a mixture. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for watching the episode 1 of Below the Beanie with Jesse, and please show some love in the comment section and let me know what you think. I can't wait to read your comments about what you think about this.